How are we, ladies and gentlemen, listeners? Welcome to the Leg Up Australia podcast.
1, 2, 3.
Can he do it? The gloves are off. They go toe to toe, blow for blow. He's clear. His big heart pounding. Yes. There's history. Syndicate makes it 3 in a row.
I'd have strangled him at Moonee Valley. Oh, they were the explosive words of Pinecliff racing manager Rocket Douglas, Clayton Douglas's uncle, after Craig Williams put in a bit of a controversial ride on Giga Kick first up in the McEwan Stakes on Saturday over the Valley. Sam Wood, Blake Johnson, we're going to chat about that and some fiery claims from old Rocket this week on the Leg Up podcast. How are we, fellas?
I'm good.
You're back.
I'm back. Sorry, boys. I've been crook. I tell you what, you know, you always say, oh, I'm all right. I got knocked around with a bit of a flu. I got the proper influenza A, and it fucking floored me solid. Like, I can't remember ever being that crook. And then what's worse is you meant to, like, let it fully run out and have, like, 5 days of pure bed rest. About 2 days after I got sick, my wife got sick, kids got sick. So...
Are you all right now?
I couldn't even be sick. I couldn't even be sick on my own.
We don't need hazmat suits.
No, I'm good. But what a week to come back to the potty. This is explosive. I don't want to... I know it's kind of been out there in the media for 2 days, but it hasn't died off. And look, I think the comments are absolutely ridiculous. But Blake, before we get into that, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. I haven't been sick. I was sick before you got sick, but it was going around here a little bit. But we're all good now.
You haven't been
Nick's
sick
the only
yet?
tough one.
No, I woke up with a bit of a tingle in the throat this morning. I thought, watch this space, but
don't.
we'll be right.
Well, hopefully that sorts
Don't.
itself out.
Podcast brought to you by Dabble and Sporting News, isn't it?
It is.
Our second one was Sporting News, which is really cool.
Yeah, good to have the boys on board. Dabble, legends over there at Dabble.
Sporting News will be happy that there is good controversy to kick it off. So let's pre-frame this for anyone that's been living under a rock. We shouldn't say that. People could be busy with work and things like that. Could be sick.
Could be
sick.
Yeah.
So for anyone that doesn't know what's happened, pre-frame this whole scenario from Saturday to now.
Yeah. So obviously, Giga Kick was first up on the weekend in the McEwan Stakes there at Moonee Valley, and I suppose after he missed the start, Craig Williams, who's ridden him absolute peach in a number of starts to win an Everest, to win an All Age, to win a 10,000, he got busy on him and put him into the race. And the sectionals, they were quick from the 800 to the 400. I don't know off the top of my head, but they were, like 10 second splits. So going quite quick to make a bit of a mid-race move over the 1,000, and he obviously inevitably got beaten by Imperatriz, who was just dynamic.
Electric.
She was super, and I suppose made the run of Giga Kick probably look worse than maybe what it was. Like if you take Imperatriz out, he's in a photo finish with Rothfire in that race, even after making that split. So that was how the race panned out. Connections of
Giga Kick jumped at $1.85 or something.
He got out late. He got out to about $2.20, I think might have been starting price at some places. So a few mounting yard experts saying he was fat and he needed the run. So maybe connections weren't expecting him to be there to win. But when you're Craig Williams, you're on the back of the second highest rated sprinter in the country.
Yeah.
You're sent out as a short price favourite. You're expected to win by the punters.
Yeah.
You missed the kick, Blake. If you had have backed Giga Kick on the weekend and you saw him miss the kick, would you have rather Craig neck him, go back to last and just work home and maybe run a nice second, or would you have liked to have seen him do what he did, put the horse into the race and try to win, which, as per the rules of racing, you've got to try and win the races that you're in?
First of all, Nick, I wouldn't have backed Giga Kick on Saturday. I don't think that Craig Williams should be concerned about the punters. Like, I know that a lot of people took short odds, but wow, this isn't grand final day. It's worth 300,000. it's just it can ruin your whole preparation. If he gets to the bottom of this horse, and from looking at the sectionals, I don't think it has, because he had a similar first up run last preparation where he missed the start, and he had a massive last 800 metres, and it didn't ruin his preparation there. So I don't think it has, and I do think it's a big overreaction. But if Clayton's told him, just get back and let the horse run on. Like, if it just depends what he was told prior to the race.
Yeah.
But I don't think you want to be putting your horse into a race just to win the race.
Yeah.
Like a grand final day is worth 20 million. This race is worth 300,000. So you got big fish to fry in a few weeks, month's time, or whenever the Everest is. And I don't think you want to use your carrots all first up. I don't think you would beat the winner anyway.
No,
Super.
I think you could have run the race 50 times and get a similar result every time. The way that Imperatriz, those late splits, like she's run a track record. She's beaten Nature Strip's 1,000-metre track record at the Valley. So it's a fair effort to do that. I don't think would have turned the tables. Connections have come out and said he was given a gut buster.
So continue down that path.
Yeah.
What's the reaction to that now?
Yes. So Rocket Douglas, who is Clayton Douglas's uncle, he's the manager of Pinecliff Racing, that's those red and white silks.
He's the syndicate manager for
Giga Kick, Jonathan Munn's, those horses.
Yeah.
So he came out on Radio Tab with Steve Hewlett on Wednesday morning, and that's where he came out and said, he could have strangled Craig on the track in the mounting yard after that ride. It was inexcusable. The horse has been given a gut buster. I'm assuming the horse hasn't pulled up well, and that's why, say, Sunday and Monday, that this is all really blown up.
Yeah.
Because the way that Rod Douglas spoke was that the plan was always 3 weeks from the McEwan into the Premiere, which is the final lead up to the Everest.
Yeah.
It's 1200 Randwick on Epsom Day, and then obviously another 2 weeks to the Everest. So now it looks like potentially may not run in that Premiere. Might be back to the trials, and then there'll be 5 weeks between runs into an Everest. So I'm assuming that this is sort of just my thoughts on the race, is that the horse hasn't pulled up well. It wasn't fit enough to go first up.
It sounds like that, doesn't it?
And maybe poor old Craig has just been used as a bit of a scapegoat for, I don't want to say it, but trainer error.
Who knows? I would say, like, looking at the data, last preparation here was 119 days between runs. Big squeeze between the 8 and 400. Big sectional between the 4 and 2, and a slight drop-off over the concluding stages. That's basically exactly what has happened here.
Yep.
It was 119 days between runs. Big sectional between the 8 and 400. There was definitely a greater drop-off over the last 400 metres than there was first up last preparation. But given the fact that the horse has potentially pulled up poorly, maybe they just wanted to see him really finding the line over that last 200 metres and not get to the bottom of him, because he's going to have that extra run. And you would say, like Imperatriz, she wasn't asked for an effort until 600 metres from home. This horse was asked for his effort much before then, between probably 800. Yeah, so she hasn't had a gut buster. He has. They're going to miss that run. It sort of just ruins the preparation for him. So,
away from that, the optics of a syndicate manager coming out saying he's going to physically assault one of our best jockeys in the country is pathetic, in my opinion. I think...
Who is also, this same jockey has ridden your horse an absolute peach to win almost 10 million in prize money.
I think 3 Group 1s or 2 Group 1s.
2 Group 1s in an Everest.
So I think what's happened here is emotion has got the better of Rod Douglas. I think you're right, it hasn't pulled up right. And I didn't know anything about kind of reports in the mounting yard that it was a bit, might not have been in the greatest condition. but I don't really care. I think there should be some sort of integrity's gone out the window here because of emotion. And to say that, like you talk to most jockeys, they will cop messages of abuse nearly every weekend from punters saying, oh, you know, you lost on this, you know, go kill yourself, go do this. If I see you, I'll bash it. Like you ask most jockeys, they get that. For a syndication manager to come out or someone, firstly, he doesn't make the decisions on who he can talk to them and decide how to manage the horse and manage the syndication. But he doesn't sit there and say, you know, Craig will not ride Giga Kick ever again. So I don't know why he's gone from such a height of emotion to say, I want to physically assault this jockey based on how he rode that horse when it's not his decision to make. And even if it is his decision to make, he shouldn't be saying it. I think this has been overlooked a little bit, and the optics of the dialogue used here is really, really bad.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
That's what,
and he should come out and issue an apology, without a doubt. Without a doubt. There's no way that he should be able to go there. Because Rod Douglas has also come out and whacked RV as well about their new ideas for summer series, no whip series, things like that. If you are at a point where you think your opinion should matter enough to the public that you're whacking Racing Victoria, you can't then come out on the other hand and say you're going to physically assault someone.
Racing Victoria deserve to get whacked for their whip series ideas. That is ridiculous.
I agree, but that doesn't take away from the fact that
Did he say? Did he say I wanted to strangle him?
Yeah,
Because I wanted to strangle a couple of jockeys yesterday.
It doesn't matter, Blake. Like you're not on a national radio station saying that about a jockey.
Yeah.
About the jockey on probably the most popular horse in Australia right now.
Yeah. His direct quote was, I'd have strangled him at Moonee Valley. I'd have strangled him with my bare hands. I'd have strangled him in the mounting yard. There's no excuse for what he did. Like, I listened to it live yesterday, heard that, and sort of went, holy shit, like, you can't say that. And
you can't say that.
And, like, you know, Steve Hewlett is a great professional at what he does with interviewing, but even he sort of just skipped over that. It's like, hang on, aren't we going to pull him up here for saying that? And, you know,
the Big Sports Breakfast went to Steve this morning to say about those comments, and Steve once again skipped over it as well because they're the wrong comments.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If there's three of us sitting at the pub and you sit there and go, oh, God, you know, however you want to talk with each other and say, I could have killed that jockey, should have made that move then or whatever, that's your own prerogative. But to do it on a national radio station from a position where you are a syndications manager or whatever he wants, a racing
one
manager.
of the best horses in the country as well. It's not you're not a syndicate manager.
Without a doubt, it is inexcusable.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that, and to Craig Williams, his response, and Craig is the ultimate professional.
He is a walking, what's the word? Like a walking advertisement advocator for the sport. He's the greatest ambassador, I think, for racing. Craig Williams, the way he talks, the way he gives time to the media, and
he deserves even so much better than what he cops with that, because that's absolute bullshit to do that.
Yeah, correct. I don't know if he...
And look, manage him off, put someone else on. You know, the fact that to add to this and just to show that like all professionalism went out the window during that interview, for him to then turn around and say every jockey's picked up the phone to say, I want this ride, Zach's calling from Hong Kong, Nash is doing this. That's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, potentially.
Like, and for you to say that, like, it's just, I think when people have, a position where they can talk nationally on something, and then everyone in Australia would have been keen to see Craig's reaction, and once again, he just handled it with complete professionalism and just said, okay,
Yep. Said, I don't pay any attention to the publications, the media.
Yeah.
He said, I haven't heard anything from Jonathan Munns as far as I know. I'm riding the horse until I hear otherwise. So that's Craig's response. I will say, though, I think it probably comes down to classic journalism as well. So Ben Dorries is the first to come out. He was on the trek to the Everest on, I think, Monday or Tuesday night, and he's come out with the bold claim that he'll swim to Argentina if Craig Williams is riding Giga Kick in the Everest. So is that just like I personally think that from just that interview, from Ben wanting to be the one to come out and break the story, which, that's your job as a journalist, especially high-profile journalist, but I feel like that's almost blown everything out of the water, because at that point, I'm assuming Craig obviously hasn't heard anything from connections about not getting the ride.
Yeah.
And then everyone's grabbed a hold of it and made a big deal out of it just because.
Unfortunately, we are in an industry, there's only a certain... The 24-hour news cycle is so jam-packed with everything now that this is something that for people to hang on to. And even for us to have our opinion on a Thursday, if this happened on Monday, we'd probably have a little bit of a touch on it, but the fact that it's kind of in the last 24 hours. But yeah, I think the ride and everything, you guys can have your professional opinion and what the data says and things like that. And Ben Dorries, even to say, I'll swim to Argentina if he's on that's fine. That's opinion. That's great. But we're overlooking the fact that the vocab used here was not right.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens next. I think Craig Williams handled himself well, as I mentioned before. But, yeah, I think there'd be a real statement made. And if they were to put another jockey on board, it has to be a Zach or a J-Mac, really, because you've really kind of got to go to the top tier if you're going to absolutely shit on Willo.
Yeah.
And
Are we being a little bit soft? Like, it should be water off a duck's back for Willo. Like,
I think it is.
Yeah.
And which is great. Like, he's handling it perfectly. But if you've got 20 million on the line, which could be in the trash now, he might not even get to the race. Who knows? Like, if he's pulled up that sore or whatever, he hasn't pulled up well. Like, he might not get to the race. Like, 20 million and you're invested in this horse. Like,
You can't say you're going to struggle with something.
obviously, like, but
Like,
for example, if you're like coaching a footy side or something like that, and your halfback throws an intercept pass and you go, fuck, I would have strangled him if I could have got hold of him at that point. Like, it's not like you're a punter and you're having your $50 or $100 on. These guys are like, it's a trainer. I know that Clayton's the trainer, but like if a trainer says that, that's their livelihood. It's very different to a punter.
It's Craig's livelihood too.
Yeah, I know that.
Like it's both sides of it. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be as emotional as he was. I'm not saying to keep his emotions in check, other than when you're doing a national a national interview, for you to say that. I think there's got to be a level that you can't say. Like, I'm not sure where the line's drawn, but I guarantee you the line should be drawn before you're saying that you're going to strangle a jockey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
no
he had
doubt.
have said the exact same thing that he said, but instead of I could have strangled him, I was filthy on him and
lucky Craig didn't cross my path. I was so angry.
Yeah, that's fine. Like play
it.
on, but you go, I could have strangled him or I could have killed him.
My bare hands, Firstly, Rocket, relax,
brother.
relax, brother.
Take a chill
We're
pill.
not killing anybody. We're not strangling anybody. We understand that it's a huge and he's coming from it from a position where his nephew it's the best horse that he's ever had, and as he said in the interview, it could be the best horse that he ever has.
Yeah,
and you only have that.
Put Clayton on the map.
Yeah, but it's a life changer, absolute life changer.
Complete.
So I actually love the level of passion.
Yeah,
I love that, but you've got to draw the line at saying you're going to, do those things.
Yeah, obviously his choice of words is not very good, but we can be forgiving of those choice of words.
It's up to Craig to be forgiving. I honestly think he should apologise, because if we allow that to happen, then the jockeys, and as you speak to a lot of jockeys, we used to have jockeys on the podcast quite a lot, and it was just a consistent conversation that we'd have with jockeys is the messages that they would get on social media.
That's right. At what point can you say that, well, why can the racing manager of Giga Kick say it, but I can't after I've had my $100 on it? Why can't I message? Obviously it's a total different scale and
Oh yeah, there's
and
severity
whatnot,
there, but
it's still the
they're
message. The
direct
message is the
messaging-
same.
Yeah, they're direct
Yep.
messaging them in social media.
Yep.
This guy took a national platform and said that he wanted to do that.
Yep.
So that's my problem with the whole thing.
Yep.
But
So-
what happens next on Giga Kick would be
Well, that's right. So Craig is obviously $1.01 maybe not to have the ride on Giga Kick in
I
the
wish
Everest.
Craig came out and said, you know what?
I don't want to ride it.
Fuck yous.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm happy
Yeah.
I'm happy to walk away. I won't be spoken to like that.
Yeah.
Like I've done
Yeah.
this in my career. Giga Kick's a great horse. Wish him all the luck, connections,
Yeah.
and then go and talk to the owners of Imperators and just say, get this thing.
Let's get it in the
Let's
Everest.
get in the Everest and get me on it.
Yeah.
And then imagine Willo on something else in the Everest beating Giga Kick.
Oh, you wouldn't say no to that, because
Yeah.
in recent years the Everest winner has come from the clouds and been picked up last, and as in Giga Kick, yes, those sort of horses. So maybe you will find a ride.
And Craig can ride light. So obviously it's a weight for age race. So the 3-year-old colts and geldings get 53, the fillies get 51. He'd be obviously be able to ride that like he did Giga Kick last year. So, you know, we could see a King's Gambit come out and win on the weekend, and Craig get down in the weights to ride a horse like that or something. But a few people saying he'll just stay in Melbourne now. Well, no, he won't, because he's got Mr. Brightside in the King Charles on the same day. So he'll be there. He's a world-class jockey, and you'd love to have him on. Obviously, Zach Purden is going to be in Sydney. He's on light infantry in that King Charles. He rode Giga Kick in the TJ when Craig had a broken collarbone. So do we think Zach
would
is
be
probably leading the charge? I think we can probably rule out Jamie Carr and Ben Mallam. They're probably not going to get the ride on one of Clayton's horses. Fair to say.
She won't get the call up.
Yeah.
Won't get the call up.
We can put the pen through those two.
Well, we've heard J-Max getting the...
There's male J-Mac.
There's mail.
Mac he wouldn't have a ride in the Everest
In
at
secret?
this moment.
What would she get as
Potentially.
what would she get as a
mare.
4-year-old mare? 55, 54 and a half?
I'm
4-year-old?
not sure. 55, something like that.
Yeah.
56, 56 maybe.
I don't,
55.
I'll have a look while we're sort of chatting and see what the mares carried last year. But yeah, I would think maybe J-Mac could be potentially on the cusp of not making weight for In Secret. Obviously, you don't have Nature Strip this year. Shinzo is a 3-year-old 53. I'd imagine Ryan Moore maybe might be able to ride the 53. He's coming back to ride Shinzo in the Golden Rose.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he could. The market would have Zach favourite, J-Mac second pick, you'd think.
then you'd probably got your Blake Shins and Damien Lanes, Mark Zara kind of hovering around that.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. There'd be a lot of people wanting to have that
Oh, for
that
sure.
ride.
I actually think Nash is booked. Well, Private Eye doesn't have a slot yet, but if Private Eye gets in,
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
Nash is going to ride Private Eye.
Yep, fair enough.
And
Good
you'd
affiliation with
think-
Joe.
Well, he ran second in the race last year,
Yes.
so you'd think if he runs well in the shorts this weekend that he could potentially get a slot. I think In Secret is an absolute certainty to get a slot.
Yeah.
Even if it isn't the Godolphin slot, because that could go to Cylinder, and then
Yep.
In Secret could get a slot outside of the Godolphin slot.
Cylinder would have to start now to win.
I don't know about that. I think he's a pretty good horse. SP suggests that he's a very good horse, and I know that there was a narrow margin on the weekend, but
2 narrow margins now.
we can definitely be forgiving of that.
So, we've got 5 horses locked in. So Sunshine in Paris, the most recent, which I'm chuffed about.
I'm sorry, I hadn't congratulated you on your horse getting into the Everest since I've been
I
on.
know, what a thrill.
Unbelievable.
Ryan Maloney, Queenslander, or relocated Queenslander, on board. Annabelle, it's all coming together.
Yeah.
She could win. She could win.
Oh,
the
she'll
race.
win.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, she'll win. Number in the frame. thank
She
you,
could
Judge.
win the race. I
Yeah.
think In Secret's
Yeah.
she's in for a really big preparation.
Yes. So we've got...
What's our 5 horses?
So we've obviously got Sunshine in Paris. We've
Yeah.
got Marzu in the Arrowfield slot. He was locked in for 2 years.
Yeah.
This is his second year. Think about it. Stradbroke winner, Queensland form.
Yeah.
Who are the other two that we've got that are just escaping me? The two favourites, Giga Kick and I Wish I Win. So they're the 5. Then you've got the Godolphin and you've got the Coolmore slot. So we're assuming
Who took Sunshine in Paris?
Aquas. So
Aquas,
Aquas bred her, and they stand her sire Invader. So
right,
bit of a no-brainer.
It's a big play for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Then you've got so the Godolphin slot, which we're assuming in secret based on all the talk, but I suppose you've got 2 other horses that could stick their hand up and go into the Godolphin slot. One of them Cylinder, like Blake just mentioned. The other one that could be a little bit left field and a smoky is Golden Mile. So he won the Theo Marks on the weekend. James, well, it was suggested that he'd go to the Epsom off that, being a Caulfield Guineas winner, but James said he'd like to go back to 1200 in the Premiere. So, if Golden Mile can go and win
He'll get lapped.
He would, but
he would get lapped.
If something were to happen and Cylinder not win the Golden Rose, Godolphin have been hell-bent on not taking a colt that's not already a Group 1 winner to the Everest before, so you could probably put a pen through Cylinder then if something happened.
I don't think
in secret,
like they have in the past. I think that they've changed their.
You reckon?
Their views on the race, because of yes isn't a Group 1 winner, and he is one of the hottest sire prospects in Australia. So,
no, that's fair.
I think Cylinder will be there, and I think In Secret will be there. So that's 2 slots. I think Imperatriz will be there. I think she's still $1.10 chance to be there.
You're sticking solid with this, aren't you?
It's all smoke and mirrors. They just want a very good offer. And she deserves it after that win,
definitely. I suppose with In Secret, so we assume Shinzo gets the Coolmore slot, Alcohol Free probably gets the Yulong slot. That then leaves Chris Waller Racing, who there's a big syndicate in there. There's the Woppet Bloodstock team, which owned Winks. There's your Neville Morgan with your Kovalika, those colours, the white with the blue hoops. Noel. Is it Grenholch, the Zoo Gotcha colours? So a lot of big-time owners in that Waller slot. But
is it a late potential sale of that slot?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So Waller raced different horses out of the stable, out of different stables in the first 2 editions. So he raced Brave Smash, who was Darren Weir. He raced Deploy, which was Peter and Paul Snowden. That was his first 2 slots. And then he actually sold the slot to Three Bridges, who they had Hortbury on her. He trained Hortbury on her, but he sold the slot. So potentially, does he sell the slot to Tiakau?
Well, they're very. I wouldn't be surprised if that conversation hasn't already started.
Yeah, that to me seems if Imperatriz is going to get a slot, that to me seems the most likely path, because Waller doesn't have a horse. The only way that, like Zoo Gotcha, there was the experiment to train her as a sprinter, and I think Jason Collett rode her on the weekend. He got off, and his comments was, I think she's ready for 1400 now, so you can't really persist with the sprinting side of things. Extremely Lucky's been underwhelming. Espiona probably not 1200. She was good running second to Sunshine in Paris. She could be...
Espiona will probably win the Epsom, so...
You reckon?
Yeah, I think that's her race, but
okay, yeah.
We'll see.
The only way that I can see Waller having a runner is if the other Coolmore colt, Kandinsky Abstract, blows them away down the straight on the weekend in the Poisoned Stakes, which Giga Kick won last year. So that's the only way I can see Waller having a horse in his own slot.
Is there any other? Well, I should have asked you this question before, but there's potential that, Waller takes Shinzo, and then another horse in Coolmore's interests jumps into their slot. And that could be a horse by a stallion that Coolmore stand, etc., etc.
Yes.
I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of any of those horses, but potentially that could be how that plays out.
Yep.
Who knows? But I'd be surprised if Imperatriz's connections haven't held any conversations with Chris Waller about what's happening with this year. With his slot in the race.
Yep.
I think she's there. I think she'll be there for sure. It's all smoke and mirrors. We've found out that the ATC don't own their
full
slot completely. Yep. So I said that the ATC would be mad if they didn't give Imperatriz 100% just
Yep.
to have her there on the day. But that could potentially be the tab because it's all a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they expect to lose their 700,000.
Yeah.
If Imperatriz was there in the tab slot, they could obviously make that 700,000 back easily through promotions of her being in the race, and it's in their best interest to have her in the race. PVL would have some type of.
He would know someone.
He would know someone that works at the tab.
I'd say so.
I'd reckon. Well, last year, for example, so Tab last year had Lost and Running, and Lost and Running went in. He was like a $7 favourite on the second favourite on the Friday. Obviously, got a virus or something that day and got scratched the next morning. But for the weeks leading up to the Everest, they rebranded the Horse and Carriage Hotel at the top of whatever street it is at Randwick to the Lost and Running Hotel. Tab signs, photos, and we went there on the Friday night before Everest, and like it was a great event. They had a Tab event on there. They had karaoke. There was all different Lost and Running things. Yeah, like you say about the marketing side of things. If you had Imperatriz in your slot, like you're running different Imperatriz specials on the Tab app.
I would dare say that those conversations are happening now.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Like they're not going to say no to running that horse.
She'll be there.
The interesting thing though about Tab and Lost and Running, have you seen Lost and Running's trials?
He's trialling.
He's trialling super.
He's back this weekend, isn't he?
Yep, in the shorts, which he might have run third in last year. I think Nature Strip, Overpass, Lost and Running was the trifecta last year. But Lost and Running's been trialling in the Lost and Running Tab Everest silk, so it's his silks with the Tab logo on the sleeves. I don't know if that's a little teaser, or is that
eagle-eyed something?
Yeah, or is it just like, hey, just remember that this time last year I was $7 and you had me in your slot.
It is surprising that. Well, I mean, you wouldn't know what conversations are going on. I think Lost and Running, if it comes out and does any good this weekend, it definitely goes in. The same as Overpass. We're forgetting about Overpass as well.
Absolutely. There's no speed in the race yet.
In WA, like what it did. What was that called? The Quokka?
Yep.
The Quokka?
Quokka, yep.
I think there's...
I think Overpass will be there.
Yeah, I think so.
He'll run well on the weekend.
Well, I think...
Is this a strong Everest?
I think it's strong.
I think so. I think you could have 20 horses and
we couldn't...
Put it like this: the Sydney Stakes, which is the consolation on Everest Day, usually it's last year Rocketing
it's
By
13 to 24, isn't it? Of the horses that probably couldn't.
Just about like last year, Rocketing By beat in the Congo, like a Golden Rose winner, but Remark went around as like a $5 favourite. There was, like Apache Chase was in the race. Those sort of almost third tier sprinters, but this year potentially you could have like. It could be Overpass, Lost and Running, Private Eye, Remark. Like there could be some serious Group 1 sprinters going around in that Sydney Stakes. Like could be almost better than the Everest, because I'm sure from memory there was like 16 or 18 horses in that race last year, and there's only 12.
It was a big
12 slots. So
and Kementari was favourite, I think, and he
ended up running in the
tab.
Lost and Running slot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Kementari would have won that race last year.
I'm glad he didn't, because I was Rocketing By at 60s, but.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking race this year.
Is there a horse from left field that either of you want to see in the race? For me, it's King's Gambit. I really want to see him there. I think he's a superstar.
I'll be interested to see how he goes on Saturday. Yeah, I'd love to see King's Gambit there.
Yeah,
he probably was one of the most talented 2-year-olds.
Yeah, and I think he's been a bit forgotten too. Like his run in that slipper was huge. Yeah, and you've got Shinzo and Cylinder run 1-2. He ran third with a tougher run. His trials have suggested that he's right on track. Like I think he's $26 with Dabble. Like you get your money back if he doesn't get a slot. If he blows them away down the straight this weekend, he's 1 from 1 in Victoria. Look out! He could be the Neil Werrett, Max Whitby slot.
I don't mind going back to the original conversation about Giga Kick, and I don't mind. Like, obviously, you want to see the best horse have its best prep to be absolutely tuned for the race. But if it's not, it brings so many other horses into the mix.
It doesn't. Regardless if he's at his best or not, there's a lot of horses in the conversation.
Yeah, but it brings more in if they're sitting there saying, "Okay, this prep hasn't gone exactly to plan."
Yeah, I think so. And I think maybe...
Because what's it now? Like, what price is Giga Kick right now?
450.
Yeah, 450.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, he got out, so I think he was 350.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was still about
going into Saturday. If he had a 1 on Saturday, probably comes in at $3. You know,
Yeah,
I wish I Win is still on track. So
definitely, yeah. If you could have taken one of those 2 horses from their first up runs,
Yeah.
you're definitely taking I Wish I Win. I think
definitely,
with the way that
definitely.
it went.
So he just had such a nice soft run first
just
up,
cruised through the
perfect,
line,
exactly what
peaked on
Moody
his
would have
run.
asked.
Yeah,
I'm sure if Nolan had have took off at the 800, Moody might have wanted to strangle him.
Yeah,
quite
Moody-
possibly.
Rod Douglas's comments were very Moody-esque, weren't they? They did bring to mind a few things that Moody said along the way.
Yeah.
Pete might have put out a cigarette in the
was
middle
gonna
of his
say.
forehead or something like that.
Throw a 4X gold can at his head.
Oh, shit. You shouldn't laugh, but it's true.
It
But
is, yeah.
they get their fair whack, hopefully.
I think the last time that jockey scenario was in the media was Peter Moody when he
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
he
the
gave-
Blake Shin saga, was it? Was it Blake Shin? No, Blake McDougall.
Blake McDougall.
Dougal. That was up here, wasn't it?
No. Who was that?
It was Blake McDougall.
I think, did he say I could have killed him?
It might have been in a
it was an
clip
owner's note.
that he sent to an owner.
Yeah,
It was.
an
It was
owner's
an
note. See,
owner.
That's different as well, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, we have a bit of a laugh at Moody in that, but that was a prison, like, voice note to owners
Yeah.
tearing apart a jockey.
See, I feel like
See, my trainer Will Holbert did the same. He got $1,000 fine for it with Andrew Mellion. Like,
Was that like... That was a big spray, hey?
yeah, like it was
huge. Can you remember some of the... I remember that because that got sent to us.
Yeah, it did the rounds, and that was the same thing. It was an owner's,
Yeah.
to an owner, and obviously the owners have sent it around. It doesn't take long for everyone. I'm sure every punter gets different horse updates in their group chat, weekly kind of thing of horses that you don't know people that are in it. But yeah, this was, I think he called him a brain dead CUNT.
Yeah. I do remember this.
Yeah, and it was rough. Like like he'll never ride one of my horses. What a fucking waste of time coming here. You get
I do. I remember
like
it
was
vividly
just,
now. Yeah.
I think the horse won a Group 3 2 starts later at 100-1 too. So, and then got sold to Hong Kong for
Was that Will
700,000.
Holbert?
Yeah.
Was it really? Shivers.
Yes. So, I think obviously like something like that, it can get sent out and people can hear it, but it's still different, I think, to
Definitely.
going
It's
on
not
national radio.
Yeah,
And
you're not
just,
saying that on national
yeah,
radio.
it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I think I do like in the heat of the moment. It is a little bit different. It's like I guess playing footy and you are. It's not that you're competing against the jockeys or anything like that, but like sometimes you could kill one of your teammates, but then after the game, like hug them and
This was
kiss
Wednesday.
them.
These comments were Wednesday.
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of time in between, and they're probably
Time a
you
little bit of
should've-
steam off. Have a ciggy or something.
meditated
Yeah.
a couple of times.
I mean, I suppose he did say I could have strangled him in the mounting yard after the race, and maybe he was just
Yeah.
sharing what his thoughts were. And
He's
if
just
he had
an-
have said,
he's just an honest
in
bloke.
the heat of the moment, I could have strangled him, but
Yeah,
dust
there was
has settled.
there was no,
but
there wasn't enough context
Yeah.
other than it sounded like he wanted to.
Yeah, go back to his house, knock on his
Yeah,
door,
yeah.
and grab him and give him a good shake.
I
But
wouldn't muck around with Willow.
no,
He's seen some stuff.
well, he's been fighting the good battle in Ukraine recently.
Yeah,
yeah.
So
Ukrainian wife.
Yep.
what a bloody legend.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Serves better.
hopefully Willow gets a chance to give a big FU to the Giga Kick owners if he
Yeah, I'm all
does
for
get
that.
the sack.
I'm all for that story now.
King's Gambit.
He
Hopefully,
gets,
let's see what happens.
hopefully, but he gets to prove how good he is this weekend. Hopefully, on Mr. Brightside in the Mackay Diva Stakes. I think he's $1. He was $1.85. I think the last time I checked. Only a field of 7 in the Group 1 in Melbourne this weekend. A little bit disappointing.
Yeah, a little
but
bit, isn't it?
I think it's still going to be a cracking race because you've got not quite it is. I Wish I Win ended up running 3rd or 4th in that Memsey Stakes first up. Is it the trifecta out of the
I thought
Memsey?
you ran second.
He might have, yeah. So 3 of the first 4 across the line in the Memsey here, which you've got Alligator Blood, Mr. Brightside, Princess Grace. They're there. Then you've got Osipenko He was good, I thought, over 1,400 at Caulfield. He now gets the mile at Flemington, which
that'll be interesting.
should suit.
Be interesting because he doesn't. He's been one that hasn't really drawn a gate
Yeah.
very often. So
Yeah. I think he's
know
drawn
that.
maybe barrier 6.
What
maybe.
the Caulfield Guineas, he drew shit house and he had to go back to
Wink
last
Stakes,
and
Doncaster.
absolutely
Yeah.
rattled home.
Yeah.
It's actually going to be an interesting race.
It is. Yeah.
Like, I think Mr. Brightside, he can do it fast race, slow race. So he's deserved $1.80 chance.
Yep. $1.90 with double. So good
$1.90.
price. This is 11:30 on Thursday morning. So
But it's not put in take out, is
no,
it? Like,
definitely not.
because
Alligator blood.
Alligator blood gets up to 1,600.
Yep.
I think
Fit.
alligator blood, it sets up nicely for alligator
does,
blood. Like, considering it was a really slowly run race in that Memsey, and that was, like, you can say, oh, Mr. Brightside was 3 deep without cover, and he got the job done, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But the race's speed really played into his lap to win that race, and the fact that alligator blood was first up. Is TC back to ride?
Golden Rose Day. he's-
Damien Oliver.
Damien
is
Oliver.
riding.
Yeah, Ollie's on
So Ollie's rode him before.
Yep. He rode him last start.
And they definitely went, like, if they thought that he was a winning chance in that Memsey, they definitely went too slow on him. So
He
I
drew
would
poorly that day too.
Suspect that
Yes.
second up, they will go quickly.
Yep.
Like,
Keep
and
in
that will be in
mind-
his best interest.
Yeah, for sure. Go back 12 months. Alligator blood average in the Memsey Stakes. Went to the Mackay Diva, took the bull by the horns and went to the front. Made it a really genuinely run race, and he got nailed right on the post by I'm Thunderstruck. So, I would say there's not a horse in this race that has the ability to run late splits like what I'm Thunderstruck could at the mile at Flemington. I think that's fair to say. If Alligator Blood can control it at a good clip, skip away like he did 12 months ago, I don't think Mr. Brightside has that turn of foot to...
I think he does.
You think he
because
does?
Remember in that, like, they had very similar late splits early in their campaigns.
Yeah.
Last time in.
Yeah, true.
Maybe he doesn't have that dashing turn of foot that I'm Thunderstruck has.
Yep.
The late I'm Thunderstruck, but. Yeah, if he dashes away like he did last year, he's going to be hard to catch.
Gonna be hard to beat.
And,
Absolutely.
And that $1.90, I think you'll get better than that on the day for Mr. Brightside.
Yeah.
I think Osipenko can run well. Who else is in the race?
So Princess Grace
She's
is...
flying.
She's going well. She's
Francesco
$4.40.
Guardi is, it's not his race, but he'll run really well.
He'll be better suited mile Flemington than what he would have been mile Mooney Valley.
I don't
in
know
the
about
field.
that.
Don't you? No?
I think his best
Yeah.
win to date has been at Mooney Valley. So,
Yep.
And Mooney Valley you can pen horses.
Yes.
Like Flemington is more
Probably.
suitable to most horses.
Yep.
So
And then you've got Aegon and Spanish Mission are the other two. So Spanish Mission ran third in a Melbourne Cup,
third
Incentivized ran second, didn't he?
third in the Melbourne
Yeah,
Cup.
ran
But yeah,
third.
interesting to see how he goes this preparation.
Yeah, he's
Waits
12
out in the
months.
Melbourne Cup. He'd be close
No,
enough
not
to
yet. But
top weight
he
in
would
a
he
Melbourne
would
Cup.
have to be. Or Gold Trip will be top weight if they choose to nominate, which they
Oh,
probably-
he'll be there.
He'll be there.
He'll run.
Yeah,
His first up run was super.
it was.
But yeah, probably 3 main winning chances, right?
Yeah.
Is that what the market says?
Market says that, and then you've got
Brightside,
Gap to
Alligator Blood, and
Princess Grace.
Princess Grace.
Yep, they're all but $4.40 or shorter. And then you've got $11 Osipenko, $23 Aegon, $26 Francesco Guardi, $51 Spanish Mission.
Still got the overs on Osipenko.
I didn't. I took 10. I'm actually... I think you just got... Did you get 20? 15.
15.
20 would be nice.
Oh, he'll run well.
I think so. I personally think this is Alligator Blood's race.
Yeah,
I think
if he's going to win a group...
he's going to be fit. I think if they're going to snag a Group 1
Yeah.
this prep, it's probably this.
This is his Group 1 to win, I think.
I'd say so. I think Mr. Brightside, like I said, it didn't have the perfect run last start, but didn't need it. It was pretty phenomenal. If Alligator Blood comes into this next step up in distance, takes fitness from that first run, and if, like you said, if he can control the race, I think it'd be very, very difficult to to mow down late, like you said.
Oh, and Aussie Penko gets over the top of them. That'd be nice.
Yep.
Francesco Gardi running on into third. That'd be lovely.
That'd be very good.
Francesco Gardi is right on track for a Melbourne Cup. So, Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup double. First horse to do it since Torthorn's Melody. I don't know. Is that right?
That's not right.
95.
It can't be Eva. She did it.
When was that? 2000 and something.
One of the 03, 04, 05s. 04, I reckon. I reckon she might have won the Caulfield Cup her second year, winning a Melbourne Cup.
Well, I think that must be the last horse to do it.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because Vow and Declare ran second in a Caulfield Cup.
There's been a lot of horses that have run second.
Yeah.
Been a lot of horses that have won the Melbourne Cup and then the following year won the Caulfield Cup. I think Dunadan and Viewed both did that. So yeah, but as for the same year, very elegant. She won a Caulfield Cup and then won the Melbourne Cup the following year.
Yes.
And then Incentivised won the Caulfield Cup, started short price favourite in the Melbourne Cup, ran second.
Yeah.
So
a lot have come close.
He'll win
So
the Caulfield Cup.
probably
and
the
then
best
start-
part of 20 years since we've had a horse do the double. If our memories are right, which I think they are.
I think Double have actually got the double market out. $67 for Francesco Gardi to do the double.
Those markets they suck you in sometimes, don't they? Like we just said, we haven't been a horse to do it in 20 years, but there's probably a horse that's
okay.
$31 to do the double this year. It's like, come on.
51's the favourite.
$51 favourite.
So you only need one every 51 years, and
Same horse double.
you got to get it right.
Solcombe.
Just one every 51 years. Yeah. Yeah, nice.
I'd be having no.
He's thinking out aloud here.
I was just looking at the same horse double market. You've got Solcombe $51, Francesco Gardi $67, Westwind Blows $100-1. But it's interesting. I was going to say Sharp and Smart $331, but I think Hugh Bowman's really keen to get them to the Cox Plate into the Melbourne Cup, not the Caulfield Cup.
Caulfield, yeah. It's a fantastic weekend of racing this weekend.
Probably
is.
because
It
Hugh
really is.
Huey probably won't be able to ride him in the Melbourne Cup.
He'll get. He's won like 4 Group 1s, that horse. He'll get like 50.
Do they count? Keyword group.
Yes. Didn't he win a spring champion
When New Zealand?
in Australia?
Yeah, he won a spring champion. He did.
Oh, okay.
Run second in the Derby.
Yes. Run second in Victorian Derby, 4th in the ATC Derby. He was good on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Sharpie.
I would be. There's a couple that are worth looking at this weekend. Lost some running, as we said, coming back in. What about Amelia's Jewel? It's
Yep, she's what I've come up with a little, is it an acronym?
Here we go.
FCY. So
Okay.
first class yaks. So it's horses that are quite good, but my mates keep saying that I either have opinions like that a horse is a superstar or it's a complete yak. Like
Yeah, there's no in between.
No
with
in
you.
between.
I can see that.
You can see that. Like I'm happy to pot horses. So I think the 4 horses I said was Amelia's Jewel, Cylinder, Shinzo, and one other one that the name escapes me, but
That he can't remember.
it'd be
Not
right.
good enough
It's not good
for
enough
him to remember.
Yeah, that's
Shinzo's
right.
my horse, remember?
Yeah, well, those 4 horses I just said they won't win a Group 1 this spring. So, but yeah, look, if Amelia's Jewel's going to be as good as everyone says she is, she probably should be winning this race because probably the main dangers have got Adelaide form, which speaking of form that doesn't count,
Doesn't
Blake.
count, yeah.
Yes.
But like we can say that she is probably up to Everest standard though, because she's measured up with Overpass.
Yeah.
She's run 5th in an Everest or 6th in an Everest
Yeah.
or whatever it was, and
What did he run second in the Quokka?
she ran
second
in the
With
Quokka,
some-
but it was like
The late splits were huge.
every bit as good as a 2-length winning performance. So it
Right, okay, you're right.
Yep.
was a big run. But
Lot
I
of
think she should
storylines
win.
this
She
weekend.
should win this weekend, but whether
we've seen some real champion like WA champions go to Melbourne and Sydney and not reproduce that form.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like not saying like if she reproduces
Recently,
what
yeah.
she can do in in WA, she will be right there.
Yeah, the West Aussies actually had a pretty good team on Saturday gone at the Valley. I think Alaskan God went around in the fee and he was really, really good late.
What if she wins on Saturday? Can she get an Everest slot?
Amelia's Jewel.
Well, it's interesting. She's like $12, but they've said no to an Everest slot all the way through. Golden Eagle's the target.
Yeah, I know, but why?
Why would you not?
Yeah, but look,
Why would you
the
put
one
that
the
out
one
there?
thing, if you're a slot holder, and you look at the field she's up against, 1,400, I think Group 3 fillies and mares at Flemington.
Yeah.
It's an average bunch of mares that she's up against, really. Like Cass
Yeah,
goes good, Our Red Morning goes good, and See You in Heaven is a good quality mare. But how do you say Amelia's Jewel's come out beating them by 2 lengths, soft win? How do you take her over a horse that wins the race that's got Marzu, Lost and Running, Private Eye, Overpass,
It
In
depends.
Secret?
Oh, it's got to come out and win by 10 lengths.
She'd have
No,
to,
she
gotta
doesn't.
have
No,
some
she doesn't.
stupid
If
win.
she runs,
It does.
If
That's
they
a
run
stupid
time,
win.
with the amount of quality horses and quality like out and out sprinters trained and prepped for an Everest, out of that many horses that there are to choose from, Amelia's Jewel would have to surely come out, run time, and blow them away in doing so.
I think
she might smash the clock on Saturday.
She might.
She might smash
a
the
lot of
clock.
noise is coming out about Amelia's Jewel comes from the Amelia's Jewel camp. So like
A lot of trumpet blowing
do you know
over
what I mean?
there,
Like,
yeah.
I just think it's an
Ferrari.
interesting storyline, and there's a lot of them this weekend. You got the 7 stakes, you got the shorts, you've got so many that are leading up to the Everest, and that's why I was actually thinking about this morning. That's why the best race in the country is the Everest now, is because of how many storylines can lead up to it. A lot of them are local talent. Like, it's probably controversial to say, but it would be. It's a greater lead up, and it's a greater, I suppose, maybe not race day, but there's more storylines leading into the Everest than there is into Melbourne Cup.
Well, I was going to say, have either of you been sitting at home or watching replays and going, "Oh, there's your Melbourne Cup horse," or has it been like, "Geez, there's your Everest horse"? Or
It's definitely
It's still
Everest.
the Melbourne. The Melbourne Cup
definitely
is still the
Everest
best
for me.
race.
Yeah, but
I love the Melbourne Cup, but I think the way that the Everest, especially this last, we're 4 weeks away,
Yeah.
and there's only 5 horses announced. Like, there's
Yeah.
just so much of this puzzle.
And
If you
so
want
much
to
can come out of it. Like literally this weekend, we
Yeah.
might have another 5 slots filled by
potentially.
by the time we talk next week.
Yeah,
I
5
think that's the
horses,
most
yep.
exciting part, and I think that's what we're talking about. Racing Victoria trying to bring in all these new series because they believe, especially the Whip Free series, because they believe that's what the younger audience wants. The younger audience wants storylines and being able to have a futures bet, or I like this, or it's. There's so many more talking points. Unless your eye is absolutely everywhere, you very rarely, especially if you're not across it every day, can have an opinion on something into the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah.
It's such an outlier of an event. The Everest isn't. There's that distance is getting covered every single weekend, and something could pop up out of the ground, and you could go, shit, that could be an Everest horse.
Yeah.
I can say that. But I could never sit there and go, very rarely can you sit there and go, oh shit, that thing could do Melbourne Cup.
And I think too, probably the amount of times you're looking, when you're looking at Melbourne Cup lead up runs and whatnot, like you just said, then the horses like Francesco Guardi that's running over the mile, they can win, but you're not expecting them to win. They're going around as $51 pops in the lead up races, and then it's like, oh, finally they get to
It's
the
hard to
Melbourne
enjoy
Cup.
that as a horse fan, as someone that likes to follow a horse's prep.
You look
it's
at
hard to enjoy
the
that.
McEwan on the weekend, Imperatriz, Giga Kick, that was a horse race. You've got how good Sunshine in Paris was with those late
absolutely.
splits. This weekend in the shorts.
Shorts
you're right.
this weekend
Every lead up, basically, the winner of that lead up can, they're in that sweet spot to be Everest contenders, really.
In Secret, Overpass, Lost and Running,
Yep.
Marzu's in,
Private Eye,
Private
Remark.
Eye, maybe
Remark, the other one.
Remark, absolutely.
Yep.
We're going
Won
to
the
see
Concord,
that. People
yeah.
can start making decisions now. Really, it's a conversation piece.
Yep. And the best thing too, punters, if you want to have a futures bet on Dabble, about the Everest is if the horse doesn't get a slot, you get your money back. So not like the Melbourne Cup where nominations are out. If you back your horse, it doesn't get there, it fails a vet check.
Yeah.
You do your dough. The Everest, if you don't get a slot, it's a refund. And then you can back Sunshine in Paris on the day.
Of course.
Of course.
I'm trying Paris play at the end.
That's right. Might do us, punters.
That's it.
Lovely.
Yep.
Good
Lovely.
luck this weekend. It
Plenty,
is
plenty to digest and take away, I think. So,
feel good.
Rocket Douglas, if you're listening, get that apology out to Willo.
Yeah, that'd
hey?
be nice.
Yep.
That'd
Later.
be nice. Integrity, guys.
Integrity.
All about integrity.
Yes. Thanks,
Bye.
punters.